In this video, we'll be learning how to dockerize our Laravel application. So we'll be using Nginx, PHP8, PostgreSQL, and Yarn for the local development environment. So the aim of this video is to teach how can we help to improve the local development environment so that the multiple developers who are working on the same project, all of them can have the same development environment, even though they have different operating systems or the different configurations available. So without any delay, I want to get started. So for this, what do you need to have is you need to have Docker installed on your machine. So currently I am on a Mac OS, and the configuration that we are trying to do, it will be useful, and any developers who are working with me, even if they are on Linux or on Windows platform, they can have the fully running application using this Docker application. So first, for this we need to create the two files, that is the first one is docker file and second one is docker compose.yaml. So let's get into it. Let's quickly open the docker compose.yaml file. This is the YAML file where we store the information about the different images that we will be pulling and the different networks that we create. Almost it is the one of the most important file. Okay, let's provide the version. So for the YAML file, the version will be 3. So the syntax the system will be understanding. So let's first create a network. So we need to have a network called web app, and then the different services or the images that we will be pulling, that will be mapped to this particular image, particular network. So there are the few services that we want. So the first service that we want is Nginx, and then the second one that we want is PHP, and then the third one that we want is Postgres. So now let's add few informations within this. So Nginx will be pulling the image Nginx, and this will be stable, and this will be coming from the Alpine, and the name of the container is app underscore name underscore Nginx. The reason for me to provide this particular name is when we are working with the microservices, we do have lots and lots of applications, and let's say all of the applications, all of the microservices require Nginx. In that case, if we name everything to be Nginx, there may be some sort of ambiguity. So we do not want to have ambiguity, so we are naming this in this pattern. So over here we want to have the ports. For now, let's say we'll be exposing this application to 8000 port on our local environment, and we'll be mapping the port 80 of the Nginx to our external world, and then this will link to the PHP that we'll be creating. And then apart from that, we will need to mount the volumes as well. So over here, this should have been something like this. We'll be mapping dot slash from var www.html, and then dot slash docker slash nginx and app.conf. Let's name this site.conf, the configuration file for the Nginx server host, and this will be going to nginx conf.d and default.conf, and this will be a read-write mode. Also we do want to map the logs file as well. So we will be mapping the logs file to this docker directory logs and the Nginx, and it will be coming from var logs Nginx, and this also needs to be rw. So this volume depends on PHP. It will also depend on the Postgres that we are creating, and then we want to attach this service to this particular network called web app for now. So now let's move on to the PHP side. Over here So we will be creating we already have created a Docker file. We'll be adding few things over there, and we'll be building this. So we'll be building this, and the Docker file that we want to use is the main Docker file, and then we want to provide the name of the container as well. Container name is app, same as above, app underscore name underscore PHP, and then we also want to map the volumes. This should be, I think this should be going over here. So everything will be mapped from var www html, and then we do want to expose the port over here, and the port will be 9001. That will be 9000. I think there is some mistake, so let's just delete this thing, and then we will also attach this PHP to the network called web app. So final thing that we need is the Postgres, so we'll be pulling this and making changes over here as well. So we'll be fetching Postgres and 12.3-Alpine. So this is a older version of the Postgres, but I suggest you to use the latest version. So for my example, I'm using this version. So the container name will follow the same pattern, app underscore name underscore, this will be Postgres, and this should restart only if you stopped, and then we do want to map the ports as well, like this port is 5433 in our application, that will be able to accept the connections from this container, and this is our local this is the port from this container, that is 5432, and this is 5433. It means in our local machine we can connect in this port, so we can connect Postgres in this particular port. And also we want to map the volumes for this as well. So over here, so we can simply go over here, and we'll be creating a folder called Docker. Inside that we'll have Postgres, and then it will store the data from this container, which is coming from var lib and PostgreSQL and the data. So we need to provide few environment variables as well. Postgres underscore user, that will be same as db underscore username, and the Postgres underscore password will be same as db underscore password, and Postgres underscore db. So what will this particular thing do is when we just build our container, in that case it automatically creates the database for us. So, and then we need to add the final thing, Postgres underscore host underscore auth underscore method, and this should be trust. And finally we want to attach this to the same web app network. So with this we are almost ready with all of our services. So we wanted to have a few things like Nginx, and then we wanted to have few other things like PHP, and then Postgres. So now we need to make few changes on this Docker file, because we have not specified the particular version of the PHP in this. So now let's go onto that Docker file and let's make the few changes. So over here, so this is our main container. So over here we need to get PHP 8.0 for now. So from PHP 8.0-fpm and this is from Alpine. So we'll be getting this PHP 8.0-fpm Alpine image, and then we are fetching this image and we want to run few of the commands, like we want to install the few things, like we want to install the Node.js, we want to install Yarn, we want to install the composer and everything. So for this I am simply copying the code from my existing code. So what are we doing is we are basically installing the PostgreSQL, we are installing the Node.js and also because we want to compile our assets using the container. We do not want the local environment to do that, and we do want to install the PHP extension for PDO and PDO for the PGSQL. It is for the Postgres, and we want to install the composer. This is how it is done. We get it from the call using this particular command, and the work directory is var www.html. So the next thing that we want is, as you can see on this PHP image, we need to on this Nginx, what you can see is we need to have these server blocks for the application. So for that purpose we need to create a directory over here. So let's create particular directory called docker, and then inside the docker we will need to add one particular directory called Nginx, and then inside Nginx we'll be adding a site.conf, that is the server block. So site.conf, so over here we'll be pasting a basic server block that Nginx provides out of the box. So I will go to the top. So we will be listening the application on the port 80, and then either we check for the index.php or index.html, and the server name is localhost, and then error log is stored within this particular file, access log is stored over here, and the root directory is var www.html public, and then there are few other configurations. So just make sure that you have the same line over here, because this second parameter that we are reading is useful when working with Laravel or any sort of PHP based frameworks. And then there are few other informations related to this. So now I think we are almost ready with everything. So all of other things that we added for the Postgres, that will be handled by the container itself. So now we want to run the container. So how can we do this is we can simply type docker compose up, and we do want to build this, and we want to do this in the daemon mode, that is it runs behind the scene in the background. So let's press enter. So it is okay, there is some error on this particular YAML file. I will fix this out. So on the line number, it is on the particular line number 31. Okay, line number 31. Okay, it should have been colon, but it was something else. So let's again build this. Okay, there is problem on the another file as well, that is on the line number 45. That should have been dollar, and then I hope there are no other errors. So it will basically create the containers for us. So this is something that it takes time, because in the initial phase it needs to pull the image on our local machine if we do not have the images for either for the PHP or Nginx or anything, and then it needs to follow all these things. So as you can see, docker file is the main entry point file. So it is performing the particular action, like it is running the particular command that we have added over here. This is the first file. So first of all it pulls the PHP fpm-alpine image for the PHP, and then it runs this different set of commands for installing the Postgres, Node.js, Yarn, and then it builds the other containers. So this is something that will take some time. So I will get back to you when everything is installed. Now that our Docker composer is up, so everything is up and running, so I can check what are the containers that are running at this point. So as you can see, I can run this command docker space ps. So it shows that Nginx is running on this particular port localhost 8000, and it is coming from the particular image or from my containers port number 80, and the name of this particular container was Laravel underscore Nginx that I had given while creating the container. So also I have for the Postgres, the name is Laravel underscore Postgres, and it is mapped to 5433 on my local machine, and it's coming from the 5432 of this container. And then also for the Nginx, we did have for PHP we had mapped port 9000 of the container to the 9001. So now everything is working. So now let's go to our .env file, and over there we should make few changes. We need so this should have been done before running the command, so make sure that you follow the same pattern. So under this .env file for the DB connection, it will be of the type of the PGSQL for the Postgres, but Laravel provides MySQL out of the box. When installing the new application, make sure that you make changes on this, and then the DB host needs to be Postgres, because within this Docker Compose we are using this image, and then we are using the port 5432 of that we defined inside this container. We'll be using the same port, and the database name is laraview3_ts, and username and password can be left blank. So the one thing that we can verify is, as you can see, we are listening or we are mapping 5432 of this container to our localhost 5433. That means I can have a connection to the PostgreSQL without having Postgres installed on my local machine. So that comes from the Docker. So for the let's try to add a new connection. Let's give this name to be Docker Postgres, and then the port is 5433, and the username is root, and value is nothing. And for the database, it is laraview3_ts, and let's test the connection. Okay, it is working fine. So now let's see. So there is nothing available over here. So now what we want to do is we want to run the migrations, we want to run the composer and all of the things inside the container. So for this, what can I do is I need to run this particular command. So let's run this again, docker ps, to show what sort of containers and images that are available. So docker exec it, and then we need to run this particular command. So we want to go inside this particular container and run few of the things, laravel_php, and we want to run this in bin/sh mode. So now we are inside this particular container. This is the main container where we had installed PHP 8.0, where we had installed the composer and also Node.js and the one and Yan as the dependency manager. So let's verify few things. So let's see the version of the PHP. So the version of the PHP is 8.0.9, and then we also had Node installed, and the Node is version 14.7.4. and then let's see if we can see what sort of files are available. So this is the main file where we had mapped and we had specified the work directory. So now over here we do want to run the migration first. Okay, instead of doing that, let's install the composer first. So composer is not found. Okay, this is something to be taken consider. This is something we had installed the composer, but it's saying that composer is not found. So this is some strange thing. So we can have this looked afterwards, but let's make sure that we can run the migrations first. So php artisan migrate status. So now migration table is not found. We do want to run the migration, php artisan migrate over here. So now we can see that we can easily create this migration and we can run it. So if I go into this database connection and if I reload this, I should be able to see the tables over here. So accordingly I can run all other commands, like if I wanted to run the seeder, so in that case I could have done php artisan db seed. Since composer was not found in our container, I just moved the script to install the composer over here, and then I also added npm to the list of the packages that I want to install, because we want to run Laravel Mix, and then Laravel Mix is dependent on the npx, which can be installed through this package npm. So after doing this, we need to again run this command docker compose op -- build and d and the daemon mode, and I can again get inside the container, docker exec it, and then Laravel _php and bin/sh. So now I am inside it. So you can see I do have composer installed, so I can install the dependencies of the composer using the command composer install. So since I already have installed all of the dependencies, it is saying that nothing is there to install, to update or remove, so it will basically run the other composer commands. So the next thing that we want is we want to have all of the dependencies installed. So because we already have npm also installed over here, we also already have a node installed over here. So now we want to run the command we can run the command yarn to install all of the dependencies, and then we want to run the command to build or to compile the assets. Since I already have installed all the dependencies, I will simply run the command yarn dev so that all of the dependencies are compiled. So in the time when everything is being compiled, as you can see on this docker compose file, we are exposing our port 80 to port 8000, which is basically running this Nginx container. So where we have added this particular configuration file, which is reading our application, and then it will be exposing to the external world. So I will be opening a Chrome over here, and then in the port localhost 8000 we can have our application accessed. So let's just open the Google Chrome. So you can see this is the hello BJ, welcome to my app. This is the old version of my previous video where I was teaching about the Laravel Mix along with Vue 3 composition API in the TypeScript. So let's quickly make few changes over there. So for now I want to run this application in yarn watch mode so that we can build, we can see the changes are reflected on the real time. So I can go to the app.js file over here, and then this is the compiled one. Instead I want to go simply to the resources js and app.ts file. Over here we do have the welcome component. I can simply go to this welcome component. So instead of this I will make few changes over here. Let's say from docker, and then let's simply save this, and then this is now building my assets. And now let's go to my URL and let's try to reload it, and it seems nothing is being reflected on the real time, but we can try reloading the cache and all. Yeah, from docker hello BJ, welcome to my app. So as you can see, we are able to have a fully dockerized Laravel application where we are able to connect to the database, we are able to run the migrations, and we are able to have everything done from the container. So within this I would like to run this seeder just to give a proof to you that everything is working fine. So I will create a user factory over here, and then inside this I will stop this command, and I will run the command php artisan db seed, which will in return seed 10 datas to my existing database. So now I can go to my routes/web.php over there where we are simply returning a welcome blade. I will simply comment this out, and then I will return all the user/all, and then I will go into my browser and I will try to reload this again. And as you can see, we are able to connect to the database from the application. From inside the container we are connecting Nginx, PHP and Postgres. So there are few things that we must be careful about. So within this env file, the db host must be the name of the service that we are using, and then the port is the same port that it is exposing over there, and other things we can add as per our requirement. So if we wanted to have Redis, we could have done that over the docker compose file. We could have added another service as the Redis, and we could have used that as well. So the purpose of the video has been fulfilled. We are able to have a fully dockerized application for the Laravel along with Composer, PHP, Nginx, Postgres and npm or Yarn as the dependency manager. So thank you everyone for being here. See you in the next video. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.